Tyler Schultz was 22 years old and his life was falling apart. He'd just quit his job at Theranos, this big Silicon Valley startup that everybody loved. $9 billion valuation. Magazine covers, the works. His grandfather, George Schultz, the former Secretary of State, was on the company's board. Tyler had grown up admiring him. And now Tyler had to sit across from the old man and say, "Grandpa, the technology doesn't work. The blood tests are giving people wrong results." His grandfather looked at him and basically said, "You're wrong. The company's fine. Drop it." But Tyler couldn't drop it, 'cause he'd seen what was happening inside that lab. He knew people were getting test results that could literally hurt them. So Theranos sent lawyers after him. They hired private investigators to follow him around. Tyler was 22, spending everything he had on legal fees, scared out of his mind, and his own grandfather wouldn't back him up. And that's how this story starts. Not with the billionaire founder, not with the fancy investors, with a kid who knew the truth and was being crushed for saying it out loud. Okay, so who built this whole thing? Elizabeth Holmes? She was a lot. When she was 9, she wrote her dad a letter saying she wanted to discover something new, something that mankind didn't know was possible. 9 years old. Most kids are writing about what they did over summer vacation. She got into Stanford for chemical engineering, dropped out during her first year. She was 19. She had this idea. What if you could run hundreds of blood tests from just one tiny drop of blood? No big needles, no vials. It's just a little prick on your finger and a small machine does the rest. If it worked, it would change medicine. Cheaper, faster, less painful. Pharmacies everywhere could have one. Big if, though. She founded a company in 2003, called it Theranos Therapy Plus Diagnosis Smashed Together. She had no medical degree, no experience in diagnostics, no experience running a business. She was 19. But she was, and I don't say this as a compliment, one of the most convincing people who has ever lived. There's a story about one of her early meetings with investors. She walked into the room, looked everyone in the eye, and talked for an hour about how Theranos was going to save millions of lives. She didn't show data. She didn't demo the machine. She just talked. And when she left, people wrote checks. One investor later said he felt like he was in the presence of the next Steve Jobs. That phrase kept coming up, the next Steve Jobs, over and over, and Holmes knew it. She leaned into it. Here's where things get weird. Elizabeth Holmes didn't just start a company. She created a whole persona. She wore the same black turtleneck every single day. Steve Jobs cosplay, basically. She spoke in this deep, low, almost robotic voice. People who knew her before Theranos said her real voice was completely different, much higher, much more normal. She apparently practiced the deep voice on purpose. And when she talked to you, she didn't blink. Like at all. People who met her described it as intense. Some said inspiring. Others said unsettling. Depends who you ask. Her pitch to investors wasn't technical. She didn't walk into rooms with spreadsheets and clinical data. She walked in with a story. A story about saving lives, about catching diseases early, about a world where no one has to say goodbye too soon. And somehow, she got Henry Kissinger on her board. George Shultz, James Mattis, a 4-star general. Rupert Murdoch put money in the Walton family. Betsy DeVos. None of these people knew anything about blood testing. None of them checked if the machine actually worked. They just believed her. By 2014, Theranos was worth $9 billion. Holmes was on the cover of Forbes as the youngest self-made female billionaire in America. She was 30 years old. She'd raised over $700 million. And the machine, the one that was supposed to change medicine, it barely worked at all. The machine was called the Edison. Holmes named it after Thomas Edison. She reportedly said, "We tried everything else and it failed." So let's call it the Edison, which is kind of darkly funny considering. The Edison was supposed to run hundreds of different blood tests from a tiny sample. In reality, it could handle maybe 12. And those 12, the results were garbage. Quality control failed all the time. One machine was spitting out prostate cancer markers for women. Prostate results for women. During the trial, they talked about two patients specifically. One woman got results suggesting she was having a miscarriage. Another got results suggesting she might have HIV. Both results came from the Edison. Both were wrong. Now, here's the part that really got me when I was researching this. Theranos had a deal with Walgreens, real pharmacies, real patients walking in and getting blood tests. Thousands of people. And Theranos was running most of those tests on regular machines, normal full-size lab equipment made by other companies. Same stuff every hospital uses. They just slapped the Theranos logo on the results and sent them back to patients like the Edison did everything. And it gets shadier. Holmes sent investor reports with a Pfizer logo on them. Like Pfizer had endorsed the technology. She admitted in court she put that logo there herself. No permission from Pfizer, just added it. She told investors the U.S. military was using Theranos on battlefields in Afghanistan. The military ran one tiny study and never touched it again. But Holmes kept telling that story for years. When Vice President Joe Biden came to tour the Theranos facility, they built him a fake lab, a staged room to walk through so it would look impressive. A fake lab for the Vice President of the United States. Employees who raised concerns got shut down or fired. Holmes ran the company with her boyfriend, Sunny Balwani, a relationship she hid from investors and the board. Employees described the culture as paranoid. Everyone signed brutal confidentiality agreements. People were scared to talk to each other, let alone to anyone outside. One lab director, Adam Rosendorf, told Holmes directly that the Edison results couldn't be trusted. She brushed him off. When he quit, they replaced him with Balwani's dermatologist. A dermatologist running a clinical lab. Can't make this up. All of this could have gone on for years, maybe a decade, maybe more. But in 2015, a journalist at the Wall Street Journal named John Carreiro started hearing things. Whispers from former employees. And once Carreiro grabbed onto this story, he didn't let go. Tyler Schultz, George Schultz's grandson, was one of his sources. A 22-year-old going against a $9 billion company backed by his own grandfather. Erica Chung, a former lab tech who'd seen the Edison fail every day with her own eyes, was another. These were kids, basically, mid-20s, no money. No power. going up against one of the most connected companies in Silicon Valley. And Theranos came after them hard. Lawyers, threats, surveillance, Tyler. Schultz was spending his savings on legal defense. Erica Chung was terrified. Holmes herself called Rupert Murdoch the guy who owns the Wall Street Journal and asked him to kill the story. Murdoch, whatever else you think about him, said no. He told his editors to let Carreyrou publish. October 2015, the story dropped. Okay? And everything blew up. Holmes went on TV, denied everything, looked straight at the camera and said the technology worked, said the article was unfair. She was calm, composed, convincing like always. But it didn't matter anymore. Regulators started investigating. Walgreens pulled out. Investors panicked. Carreyrou kept going. Eventually wrote a book. Bad Blood became a massive bestseller. Got turned into a documentary, a podcast, a Hulu series. Jennifer Lawrence is supposed to play Holmes in a movie. The lie had become one of the biggest stories in Silicon Valley history. Theranos collapsed fast after that. Regulators found that the lab was in immediate jeopardy to patients. The company was forced to void, basically cancel, 2 years of Edison test results. 2 years. Thousands of patients. All those results. Potentially wrong. People had made real medical decisions based on those numbers. Changed medications. Started treatments. Panicked about diseases they didn't have. Missed diseases they did. Walgreens sued for $140 million. Other investors sued. The SEC charged Holmes with fraud. The FBI investigated. In 2018, Theranos shut down. $9 billion valuation to zero. Forbes changed Holmes's net worth from youngest self-made female billionaire to zero. Literally revised it to nothing. Fortune put her on a list of the world's most disappointing leaders. A year earlier, she'd been a visionary. Now she was a punchline. Board members, Kissinger, Schultz, Mattis, quietly resigned. Nobody apologized. Nobody said I should have checked. They just disappeared from the story, like they were never part of it. The trial started in August 2021. Holmes showed up looking completely different. No turtleneck, hair down, soft colors. She'd had a baby just weeks before. Her defense? She blamed Sunny Balwani, said he was abusive and controlling. Said she genuinely believed the technology worked. Said she never meant to deceive anyone. Prosecutors showed forged documents, fake logos, and lies about revenue and military contracts. In January 2022, the jury found her guilty. 4 counts of fraud. November 2022, sentenced to 11 years and 3 months in prison. Sunny Balwani got nearly 13 years. Together, they owe $452 million to victims. On May 30th, 2023, Elizabeth Holmes walked into a federal prison in Texas. She's there now. You know what bugs me about this story? It's not Holmes. I mean, yeah, she lied. She committed fraud. She's in prison. That part makes sense. What bugs me is everybody around her. $700 million from investors who never once checked if the machine worked. A board full of the most powerful people in America who lent their names to something they didn't understand. Media outlets that put her on covers because the story was too good to verify. A whole system that rewarded confidence over evidence. And the people who actually told the truth, Tyler, Erica, the lab workers, those people got threatened, got followed, got sued, lost money, lost sleep. Some of them lost relationships with their own families. The liar got magazine covers. The honest people got lawyers' bills. That's the part of this story that sticks. Because it's not just about Theranos, it's about how easy it is for everybody, investors, journalists, even former secretaries of state, to believe a good story told by a confident person. Holmes once said she wanted to create a world where nobody has to say goodbye too soon. What she actually created was a company that gave people wrong blood test results and charged them for it. She's in prison. The machine never worked. And the question the whole Theranos mess really asks has nothing to do with her. It's about us. Would we fall for it again? Yeah, probably. Tell me what you think in the comments. And if this story got under your skin, subscribe.